up with a whistle, heart beats like a drum. JT's got the fire, and the game's just begun. From the court to the field, every play, every stat. He's chasing the story, no time to look back. It's Sports 5-0, living for the thrill. Every highlight, every moment, every skill. JT's got the passion, the drive, the flame. Bringing the best, putting respect on the name. Late nights editing, early morning grind. He's got the vision, the hustle, the mind. From buzzer beaters to walk-off wins, he's telling the tale where the legend begins. This ain't just content, it's heart, it's soul. JT's mission is to make the game whole. For the fans, for the love, for the roar of the crowd, he's turning up the volume, making sports proud. It's Sports 5-0, living for the thrill. Every highlight, every moment, every skill. JT's got the passion, the drive, the flame. Bringing the best.
All right, good evening and welcome to our very first tape-to-tape hockey podcast, Penguins in NHL. We're going to get into the Penguins tonight as the season has just started, 3 games in. But before we get going, A-Plus Roofing and Exteriors, I'd like to talk about them. If you need anything done with your roof or your exterior, anything on the exterior of your house, especially before the weather gets colder and nastier, call A-Plus Roofing at 412-515-5466. And you can also visit them at www.aplusroofingexteriors.com. Get an estimate today. I mean, you're not going to go wrong. Great company. They're located here in the Bethel Park area. They do great work. So need a roof, call them, let them know Sports 5 sent you. And it is what it is, man. This time of the year, it's getting bad. Your roof is bad. You might as well get it fixed now. It's a pleasure to bring in. It's been a while, but we're bringing in Darren Vickless. Darren, how you doing, man? How you been?
Really good, JT. Busy but good. Excited the season's underway. It gives me something to watch again, especially on these weeknight games. Always something nice to kind of fill the air. But excited. I think it's going to be a fun year. Even if the team maybe isn't going to be great, there's some cause for optimism, things to look for on a nightly basis. That has me excited.
Yeah, that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, basically, was is the team closer to the 6-1 game, or are they closer to what they did the first 2, or is it somewhere in the middle, you think?
I think what we saw in the Islanders game is more of what reality is going to be. This is going to be very chaotic. The left side of the ice is going to be very inconsistent defensively from the D-core. I think Silovs is going to be a very viable NHL backup, but probably not the guy. And then you're eventually going to see one of the younger goalies brought up if something's flexed around or moved. But I think the Islanders game is going to be more of what we saw. And spoiler, I don't think the Rangers or the Islanders are particularly good teams. I think we kind of saw 3 matchups of non-playoff teams, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and that's what's one of the things that I try to tell people when I'm talking about the Penguins is we're not a good team. We're not. I mean, we're not supposed to be a good team this year.
No.
But the but in that is the Eastern Conference is really down. I mean, if you look at the whole conference as a whole, compared to what it used to be, we're used to saying, oh, the East, the West is just, shooting. The West right now is 12 deep. I mean, the West is deep. The East, I try to tell people there ain't really many. I mean, you got the Carolinas, of course, Florida's, couple teams like that. I don't think Washington's as good as they were. I don't think the Rangers. I think the Rangers are taking a step back. I mean, it was funny watching that first Ranger game. We beat them at New York. It felt like we were playing ourselves from last year, watching a Mike Sullivan team just not really do anything. They looked a lot better, of course, last night. But I guess the question though, Penguins are 2-1. What have you liked in the first? I know it's only 3 games, but what have you noticed that's a little bit different than maybe we've seen in the past?
Even in last night's game, it was never they never looked listless or aimless, right? Like even though things went wrong, they weren't a good team, they were not talented enough. They didn't like roll over and die. Which that's encouraging to see. Especially that first game, they were actually very locked in defensively, particularly the centers, even Evgeny Malkin. They were just locked in. That to me is probably the biggest thing. Like I think you're going to get a much more consistent night to night effort, even if the talent won't allow it to always end in a win. I think that's going to be more palatable for people. And then the other thing is just there's more young legs on the roster, and that might be part of that effort. Is you have I know Koivunen got waived; he'll be back at some point. Avery Hayes will be, Rucker McGroarty will be. Kindo and Brunick are basically saying we're here. I don't think you'd want to send either guy back unless they fall off a cliff. There's still 6 more games in the 9-game sample, but you're just seeing more even effort. Like none of the lines feel like abject dead weight like we saw last year. Beyond maybe Nola Chari being a guy I just don't think has a place on the roster anymore.
How do you I was going to ask you about the young guys. You brought that up. It's a good point. I loved him in last year's preseason. I love him in this year's preseason, and I think Brunick is going to be a future all star on the back end. I did not realize, and I'm starting to hear from a lot of you're starting to hear from a bunch of experts, and the Penguins might have they might have people thought they stretched and got Kindle. People are starting to say that wow, they might have found themselves a talent that people just were overlooking him for him to drop as far as he did. Now they're saying.
So he's the one thing about him that you don't normally see with young centers in particular is like defensive positioning. He doesn't really make mistakes there. And he's also not afraid to still try and go for a home run play, if that makes sense. Like he's not so afraid to make a mistake that he's overly cautious. He's just positionally sound, and that gives him the freedom to be aggressive. And you saw last night, he has a wicked shot.
Oh, that was a great shot.
He probably would have 2 assists already if Tomasino and Nosek, respectively, Novak, could put some slam dunk shots into the net. He probably should have had 2 assists against the Islanders if we're being real. But he's just a heady player. And all the analytical models kind of compared him as like a Braden Point type. Now, if Braden Point's obviously the high end. Mm-hmm. But if you're even close to Braden Point, that's a point per game, defensively savvy center. That can be the best center on a very good hockey team. He's probably going to gain a little bit of weight. He's probably going to grow a little bit more height-wise. So he's going to be a bit bigger. But, I mean, that's really the only thing is he going to hold up under the physicality? Because everything else I love. And he's not afraid of the physicality, despite still being a bit underweight either. He's blocked shots. He's not afraid to crash the crease a little bit, get dirty down low, beat behind his own net or the opposition's net. He just kind of does everything you want. And that's what bodes well. I think it's nowhere to go but up. If he gets another goal or 2 and a few more points, I think you have to have a conversation about keeping him beyond the 9 games and maybe start to make trades early to make roster spaces. Because once McGroarty gets back, he's getting a spot too. So It's who's left out. Koivunen's probably going to be back at some point. You really have to start looking at who's going to be here and who's not going to be here beyond this year to make space for these guys.
I mean, do you still think not that you hear about a lot of rumors right now, but do you think that Raquel, guys like that are still, the idea is to move them? Do you think they're more of a bring in some more prospects kind of thing, bring in some draft picks? We don't need as good as Raquel was last year. He may not be part of that, the new wave that they're trying to build. I mean, do you think that's still a possibility to see him or on a different and maybe a Brian Russ getting dealt?
Those are the guys that it feel Rust, maybe not inevitable, but like a good chance. Raquel feels inevitable. You're going to get a team like Buffalo, somebody who really, really needs to make the playoffs, who has a surplus farm system where you can really make some moves. You can either get a high-end prospect in a second or a first-round pick and maybe a slightly lesser prospect. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, depending on what you want. Raquel feels inevitable. Rust a good chance. I could see one of the goalies getting bumped out at some point. Teams get erratic and desperate for goaltending, even taking swings on guys that aren't proven.
Mhm.
Their back end is cluttered with just really erratic players. I could see getting moved at one point. Maybe Carlson, maybe not. Um, but they're going to have some flexibility, and you have to make space for these guys. The Avery Hayes, the Tanner Howes, the Tristan Bras, obviously Koivunen, McGorty, Kindle, and Brunick we've already discussed. You're going to have space for these guys. Pickering at some point probably as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Pickering. It's a nice problem. We don't in the past couple of years we haven't been able to run off 8 to 10 young guys' names. But I mean, he has done a great job. I mean, think about it. We got Kindle in last year's draft, and there's still 2 other first-round picks out there that just are
On it.
setting themselves up.
And Horkoff's been good, by the way, for Michigan. He has 5 goals, no assists, but he has 5 goals in, I think, 4 games. The thing with him, I don't think he's going to be a center in the NHL. I don't think he's good enough at carrying the puck into the zone, but he's the perfect big guy, quick hands around the net. And if you're 25th pick in the draft, whatever he was, is a guy who gives you 20 to 25 goals and some size, you take that. I mean, that's a nice guy you can put somewhere in your middle six.
Well, I know Seelov's got the shutout in game one, then he sort of
Rough,
came back to life.
rough.
What's that?
And then a bit of a rough game 3, but
Well, yeah. But I mean,
was very disjointed.
do you? That's the thing. I didn't think he played. I thought the first game, like you already talked about, I think he just the defense was just amazing. I mean, I think the one thing you made a great point too, and that's the one thing I noticed in all 3 games. And you're right, they look like they're just buzzing around. I mean, I know they're younger now. It looks like they don't stop. Like they get down. Even last night they were down 4-1, 5-1. Just they kept playing. I mean, they didn't play well, but they look like they were still hitting, doing things. I really do like the mix of the team.
They're going to be a very annoying team to play against. It's just the talent is not commensurate to win all those games. But I think they're going to draw a lot of penalties. They're going to be very obnoxious, and I mean that as a compliment in terms of how they play. They're not going to be a team where you can really sit back against them and like try and defend a lead, because there's going to be enough offensive punch and enough of the forecheck. They are really going to work some teams.
Mm.
Like, I think they're a bad matchup for a couple of teams in their own division, honestly. Like, any team who's not particularly good at bringing the puck quick out of their own end, which would be like the Rangers, the Capitals, the Flyers, even the Hurricanes are kind of plotting. Like, once they're in the zone, they're aggressive, but they're not great at getting up and out immediately all the time. I could see them playing spoiler to some teams that people would assume are better than them. And it's going to be a good mix. Now, you don't want to flood the team. You don't want to have like 9 kids age 22 and younger on the roster. That's how you get these really ugly Chicago situations.
Yeah, Ottawa back in the day, Ottawa.
For rebuild, Detroit, where there's just so many young kids with little guidance. You don't want that. But I think they have a good mix of young and old. Having sit around matters. Having Dubas, who's a veteran GM at this point, matters. So all in all, I think it's a healthy mix. It feels different than what it is. They're no longer even, I think they're the 6th oldest team. They're no longer in the 5 oldest because of this influx of other kids. You get Justin Brazeau, who's not young, but he's not old either. I mean, there's some useful pieces here that are going to be here long term, which is nice.
Justin Brazeau has been a guy that I remember him. He had a couple shining moments with like Boston and Minnesota where he had like some stretches where he had some big goals in his career. He
had
he
a goal season in the OHL.
That's what I mean. He has hands. There's no doubt about it.
He was an overager. He was 20 in the O, but 60 goals is 60 goals. Like, there's hands there.
Yeah, he definitely has hands. I mean, you can see that on the actually we got the picture right here.
Back goal he scored against the Rangers. Actually, the first goal. That goal against
this one too against the Islanders, where he just stopped on a dime, and it was beautiful.
Long wingspan. He looks like a condor. He's just like this big swooping, not super quick. He's doing what I want Anthony Mantha to do. Actually, Mantha's been the one guy I think in the top 6 where I've been like, what do you do here?
Yeah. Big boys, man. They got some big boys on that team. I mean, that's like Malkin. But Malkin is the short guy. Malkin's playing. He had his best 3-game start of his career. I mean, he never had back-to-back. He never started a season with back-to-back multiple points, which is sort of hard to believe that 20 years he never had 2 points, 2 games in a row at the beginning of the year. But He's playing really well.
That Malkin line might be the tallest line in the league. Brazeau's 6'5", Mantha's 6'4", Malkin 6'3". I can't
Mhm.
think of any that are like that big, that tall, like physically heavy. Um, in like Mantha's a guy who I kind of hope he kicks it in the gear, so he ends up turning into a second round pick come trade deadline. Like that's
Yeah, because I mean he has some pedigree, he has some talent. He
yeah.
just
And maybe Brazeau is a guy if he keeps scoring. That's someone you flip later on. GMs are a sucker for a big guy with hands.
yeah, I'm not a mathematician, but he's on pace for 82 goals right now. I don't think he's gonna do it,
Yeah,
but but I mean, and he still got Sid doing Sid stuff. The team is going to be fun, like you said at the beginning. I think, and I agree, and I do want to say that I think Carlson would already be gone if his contract wasn't so bad, but he's actually been playing somewhat better.
he
Even
was
the announcers have said a couple things about him.
excellent first two games. He was rough last night, but so was the whole team.
Yeah, that 2-on-1, he looks a mess on sometimes on 2-on-1s, man. Like you don't have a clue. He tries to just knock the puck out of the air, like he can get the pass out of the air, and that's his defense.
Even Sid had a rough game last night, though. He had a couple really bad forced passes where one ended up in the back of the net.
Mhm.
So I don't think anyone had it last night, but I liked him the first two games, Carlson. It felt like the shackles were off a little bit. Like he has a little bit more room to roam and do whatever he likes to do.
And how do you think that you should go forward with the goaltenders? Do you think it should be just go with the hot hand kind of thing, or do you think he's going to basically be a
I
50-50 split?
I would 50-50 split it, see if one guy can take the net, and then if post trade deadline you have a space, you bring up one of the young kids, and then you give them the lion's share of the start from there. That's what I think you do. Um, I don't think there's really a way for Jari to be here long term. I think it's kind of like whenever his contract's up, or if somebody buys low on him, maybe.
Mhm.
But you have Blomqvist, you have Berashev, you have Silov, who I think is only 24. I mean, your goalies of the future are in the system or on the team currently. There's just no room for Jari. I keep flipping back and forth, and maybe you pump Silov's trade value a little bit too. I mean, there's that's the thing now is there's so much flexibility going forward, which is new. We're so used to up against the cap and everything being chaotic, and that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, we got money. We got money to make deals. We don't have to worry about sending guys down to the minors to
Next,
free up space. There's teams out there doing that still. You're hearing about like sending. I think the Dallas Stars are in that book. My boss at work is a big Dallas Stars fan, and I was like, dude, you got a couple rookies make the team. He's like, oh, they're just there for, they're there for the paper moves, and then he
yeah,
was right. I mean, that's NHL's weird about that is I still think the league has the best salary cap in sports. I think it's the fairest. It's the one that makes the most sense. You don't have to like, oh, we're gonna give Connor McDavid the Larry Bird contract or whatever the NBA does. So you
yeah.
end up getting like these crazy contracts. I think the hockey got it right. They got the floor, they got the ceiling. Um, I'm hoping Major League Baseball in 2027 finally gets together and supposedly they're going to strike, and I think it's for the right. Um, Even that'll probably be the last time we see Paul Skeens at that point. If they strike for a year, we probably won't see him again in a Pirate jersey. But
Probably not.
they gotta have a floor. And you can't put just a floor in. You gotta have a cap to put a floor in. So
Yeah,
for teams like the Penguin or the Pirates and the NHL does it right. I mean, even like last year, they do things the right way. Like Columbus lost their highest paid player in that tragic accident, Johnny Gaudreau, and they let them have they gave them a break on hitting the floor last year, and they had a great year. I mean, they were 2 points from a playoff spot.
they,
They played their butt off last year.
their goal differential was atrocious. I didn't think they were actually very good, but Montreal's goal differential wasn't very good either, and they snuck in. Um, but yeah, there's going to be interest. It's going to be interesting with the cap going up now. Next year's free agent class on paper kind of stinks. So, but I mean, I don't know if you want to be spending big if you're the Penguins now, anyways. It,
Nah.
you want to look at guys like Mantha, like Brazeau, those types to flip them because next year is another year where you're down. Ideally, after next year, you kind of have your young core drafted, and then the following years where you really start to build on it. That's when you add in free agency. You maybe look
Yeah.
at RFAs, that sort of thing.
Maybe we win the 21-year lottery again and
Yeah,
get Gavin McKenna. So that would help out.
if you get him or Landon DuPont the following year, that really changes the math on what the rebuild is.
That's true, and he's right down the street of Penn State. I like to go maybe catch a game or two watching
I've been thinking
McKenna.
about. I've been thinking about it. It's just a matter of finding time.
That's the hardest part in life, man. Just finding the time. I would love to go there to watch a game or two. Maybe find a weekend where they play Michigan. Um, I love been a Michigan fan of everything. So I mean, and Michigan's hockey team's up and coming. I mean, they're good. They're always
They had
they load
five
up the NHL
picks on
draft.
one team a few years ago. I mean,
Oh
they
yeah,
had
that's a Fantilli year. They had everybody like
Fantilli,
Fantilli and
Duke Hughes, Beniers.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing how college hockey's starting to become a big force now in the NHL draft. I mean, guys, even guys
NIL
that aren't.
things. NIL,
Yeah,
they're going to keep getting these best players. They're going to start leaving early to go play for whatever. They'll sign 1-year deals and play in Penn State, Michigan, BU,
yeah.
BC, REI. Like there's a bunch of them.
And it makes you wonder if Penn State's going to have to try to ask him for some of his money back to pay for James Franklin. They just gave him $49 million to kick the boat today. So
If he takes a job, I think it goes down to 18 million, but it's
oh, is
still.
that what it is? Oh man,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money, man.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna play if he's smart. He plays at like what's his name, the guy from. It's only the second biggest payout ever. 76 for Jimbo Fisher.
I
That
forgot
was
about
that was
Fisher.
insanity. 76 million. Um, Before we get going, in the NHL itself, there's a big move that happened. I don't think a lot of people were really thinking about the consequences, but um, Connor McDavid signed a 2 year deal for a lot less money than he could have got. Of course, I mean
Yes,
he should
he
be
probably
right there.
left $10 million on the table.
I think minimum. 'Cause I think he should have beat, and he should at least be a $20 million, at least a $20 million a year player at this point, especially with the Keprasov getting the big contract. Keprasov from Minnesota.
Yeah.
But the question is, he only signed a 2 year deal. So here's the deal. There is no way he's playing with Edmonton after 2 years. Do you agree with that?
If
Even if
they
they win
don't,
a cup,
if they
even if
win
they
the
win a
cup,
cup,
if they win the cup, the equation changes. I think he stays. But if he doesn't, and here's the thing, that would mean they've made the finals, what, 3 straight years if they make it again this year? That's
yeah,
not a guarantee that you're going to get the health to do that in the tougher conference.
yeah. I mean, that conference right now is. I mean, you could look at teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that on paper have a lot of like Nashville. I think Nashville has talent. Um,
Utah is a team I think could make a big leap forward.
yeah, Utah. They have a good mix of youth and veterans. They're, I mean, Logan Colby and them. They're a lot. I mean, you can look at almost any team. Vegas is always going to be good. Even Seattle, for being a bottom team, they have talent. They have.
Yeah, they're not terrible.
No, it's not like the. I mean, the East is really rough right now. I mean, I honestly think that's why. As a Penguin fan, this is a question I ask all the people. Do you want to finish 10th or 11th again like we always do, and not really pick any higher than like 11th or 12th, or would you rather just see them play fun but lose a lot of games this year? Like, would that'd be the ultimate thing for you? You think see the guys get better, but know that we're losing games.
I am never going to actively root for losses. I can't bring myself to do that ever. But I am okay with them if they happen under the circumstances, what this draft and next draft are. I mean, I am fine isn't the right word. I'm accepting of it. I
Yeah.
guess. Like I can accept the reality of short-term pain, long-term gain kind of thing. So I don't want them going out there tanking and throwing. I want to see them give these younger kids a chance and play. And if they pop off and they're a good team because of it, then great. They don't have to tank. But I mean, it's just going to be play fun, play loose, play fast, see what happens, sort of deal.
Did you watch last night's game?
I watched most of it. I was actually out and about. I had an event I had to go to, but
Did you see the Mike Sullivan tribute?
the return video they did for him.
Did you see how funny? And this was totally Mike Sullivan, man. Like he felt the camera on him. He was crying a little bit. He had little tears.
Yeah,
And he knew he couldn't stop. He quit. He had trouble stop crying. He was emotional. It was an emotional. I heard some fans were even being emotional.
yeah. He
But
was there almost a decade, 2 championships. That's a
yeah,
lot.
but I heard that the funny thing, you see him on the bench, he got real mean looking and started like acting like he was starting yelling at the team. Like it was funny. I'm like, that is totally Mike Sullivan, man.
Yeah,
I miss him, but I think that
it's best for all parties.
oh, Dan, I think this guy got a young guy, new coach. I think he's perfect for what you're doing. I think every team that you see this transition, if they do it right. I mean, the Pirates did it with when they brought Clint Hurdle in. You had the guy that was sort of pampering around the younger guys, and once you get to that point, we're like, all right, this is the backwards version of that. We're going from a guy that was coaching all the veterans and doing well that you knew he was biting his tongue every time he won. He wasn't great at playing the young guys. I don't know if that's the truth or what the deal was, but
I think it's a mix of two things. Part of it is they just didn't have young kids worth playing. If we're being completely honest, I think
that's
that's
true.
the biggest factor because we've seen him play young guys in the past where it's if they're good, they will play. Like he threw John Marino to the Wolves, very young, very good player. Like he
Yeah,
was
he
not
did.
afraid to play Marino. Um, don't get me wrong, I don't think he was a perfect coach. He wasn't, but I will miss him ultimately, and it's far more good than bad with Sullivan.
Oh, oh,
In a
he was
league
definitely
that's
a good coach.
constantly just retreading absolute bozo coaches,
Yep.
Sullivan's a good one, in all honesty.
I mean, 6.5 million. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a high paid coach in the NHL, and you knew he wasn't going to be out there long, and he wasn't out there long. I mean, we had a good coach here. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I thought that he was a perfect transition from, 'cause I've heard, I guess I didn't follow as close as I do now, but I guess Bausma was sort of like wasn't really as good of a coach as I thought he was. Like I've heard some stories once he's been gone, and
He benefited big from the anybody but Michelle Terrian mindset in the
mhm.
locker room. I think Terrian is kind of the proof that you can be a hard ass and not be of any substance. Sullivan struck me as a guy who can definitely be a hard ass, but it was fair, and he clearly knew what he was talking about. I think Bilesma was a breath of fresh air after having a guy in the room that nobody could stand or wanted anything to do with. And they were just so overwhelmingly talented. The team kind of played itself almost.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was back. I remember them stories, man. Team veterans were just basically saying, "Let's go. We got to get something. We can't play for this guy anymore." Um, but real fast before we go, the NHL. I know it's only been three games for like a weekend. What have you? I know you watch a ton of games or you follow a ton of stuff. What team are you really keeping an eye on that maybe some other people aren't keeping on? What team are you excited about this year that you
I
think gonna
think
make some runs?
Utah, if Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther take that step forward to give them that really nice, with the addition of JJ Paterka from Buffalo, they're going to score a lot of goals. They are going defensively, maybe not quite the most stout thing in the world, but they are going to be fun. If Vamelka is healthy, that's a playoff team, I think. That's there. Now they're not going to. They might not win a round, but they're going to be an interesting team. Everyone's kind of talking about Montreal in the East. That's kind of old hat. The Ducks look like a team though that could also push a bit. Seneke's finally up playing. Leo Carlson is healthy. Jackson Lakeholm is one of the best young defensemen in the sport. Lane Hudson kind of steals the spotlight, but Lakeholm is legit. They have Pavel Mintyukov and Owen Zellweger. That's a team that could really pop and be something special here. Mason McTavish re-signed. Like the arrow is pointing up there. Anaheim and Utah are the two teams now. They're in a very crowded West. That's going to make it
Yeah.
tough. If they're in the East, I'd probably pick them both to make the playoffs as a slam dunk. And then as a negative team, I think Detroit is still light years away from being any good. I don't know what Yzerman's doing. I don't know if he knows what he's doing at this point. That's a team kind of the opposite end where I'm very pessimistic about them, that they might regress, is the Red Wings.
And by the way, everybody out there, we're gonna be doing this for the most part Sundays at 10 in the morning. So it'd be a good time before the Steelers play. Get on here. Penguins play. I'm not gonna say all the time on Saturday, but a good bit on Saturday. So we'll recap the Saturday game and what went on during the week. Um, and also, don't forget today's podcast is brought to you by A Plus Roofing, Joey Campagnat and Bethel Park. Give them guys a call. One of my better sponsors, great sponsor. I have a lot of good sponsors out there. I'm very proud of, and A Plus Roofing is he's my one and only roofer. And if you need a roof or exterior work done before the weather gets colder, call them at 412-515-5466. Darren, what do you want to see the Penguins like? I know you brought up McGroarty and you brought up some of these young guys. I mean, do you think eventually, if they do make a couple of trades, like, could we see like a top six with Crosby and five kids, or Crosby, Malkin, and Crosby, Malkin, and four kids, I should say?
I think at the end of the year, you're going to see a top six if everyone's healthy. We're kind of taking this in a vacuum that everybody's healthy. I could see a top six of Crosby, Rust, Koivunen, Malkin, McGroarty, And then one of the young kids, maybe when Hayes gets back, you bump Kindle into the top 6 to give him more of like a free-flowing outlet sort of thing. I think that's very possible. Now you need to have some moves where Hayes gets healthy, Brazeau probably gets bumped down, a guy like Novak probably gets traded, Tomasino possibly gets traded, Raquel possibly gets traded. So there's going to be a lot of flexibility, and I think Pickering at some point you'll see up too.
And Tomasino is one of them guys. I mean, I thought he really, that was one of the few, that was a real bright spot last year. I mean, once he came here, I thought he played
He's
really
very
well.
he's very streaky, but he's better than what he was getting minutes for in Nashville. Probably not as good as he was at his absolute hottest here last year. Probably somewhere in between is really reality with him. But I think he's a very useful middle 6 forward. And I think you could see a team that wants maybe a little bit of scoring punch on their third line pay a little bit to go get him.
That sounds good to me, man. More draft picks. I know we got a ton of draft picks still too. I mean, as much as I thought Dubas was sort of like, it seemed like he was running in place there for maybe a
Trying
year
to
or
split
two.
the difference.
Yeah, I think he's doing well now. I think I think he turned it on. I mean, like I said, this draft class could end up going down as one of the big draft classes in Penguins history. If you get Zahn and Horkoff to actually start to, I mean, they make the team and do something. I think Kindle's legit. I think Kindle, when I say legit, I'm thinking he could be a consistent 65, point guy. A guy that's, I don't know if he's going to get much higher than that. I mean, do you see him as being a 20, 25 goal guy maybe, or?
I think for sure. I think he has the potential to be like a Braden Point-esque kind of guy. Now, as good as Braden Point is, he gets to play with Kucherov. Like, you'd probably need some high-end wingers to make Kindle work. But, I mean, if he hits his ceiling, that's a top center in the NHL, like a first-line center for sure. It all depends on how this draft goes, too, next year. Like, who's going to be your number 1 center, who's your number 2 going forward, that sort of thing.
I agree. Hey, Darren, thank you so much for your time. And once again, everybody, please do not forget A+ Roofing and Exteriors. Check us out at www.sportsbible.com. You can check this podcast on there as well. Look for our Penguin articles. Doing recaps of games now for each of the Pittsburgh teams, but I also did like did a quick piece today on the Steelers. I think the Steelers should go all in for this trade deadline. I think this is especially the AFC right now, is if KC loses tonight, they're 2-4. Baltimore's 1-5 now, so I mean the AFC is wide open for the Steelers this year. If there's ever been a year, this is the year to make a move. So get on there, let us know what you think. Darren, I appreciate everything you do, and Tape to Tape is back. It's going to be our new slogan. Talk tape to tape every week. We'll have some guests on here as well with me and you, and we'll talk Penguin hockey as the year goes on. Darren, thank you so much.
Thank you, JT, for having me.